December 19th, 1979. 18-year-old Michelle Martinko leaves a choir banquet at Kennedy High School in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. She has $186 in her purse, money to pick up a winter coat she'd put on layaway at the Westdale Mall. She drives to the mall in her family's 1972 Buick Electra. Around 8 p.m., she enters the JCPenney store, decides she doesn't want the coat after all, and heads back to her car. She would never make it home. What happened in that parking lot remained a mystery for 39 years. No witnesses, no suspects. Just DNA evidence waiting in an evidence locker for science to catch up. This is the story of how genetic genealogy finally caught Michelle Martinko's killer. Michelle Marie Martinko was an 18-year-old senior at Kennedy High School. She was an honor student, played in the school band, and was a baton twirler. She had blonde hair, a bright smile, and a promising future ahead. December 19th, 1979 started as a normal day. Michelle attended a choir banquet at her school that evening. Afterward, around 7:30 p.m., she left for Westdale Mall. Her parents expected her home within a couple of hours. Michelle entered the JCPenney store around 8 p.m. She had $186 with her to pay off a coat on layaway, but when she tried it on, she decided she didn't want it. Store employees saw her leave empty-handed. That was the last time anyone saw Michelle alive. When Michelle didn't come home, her parents grew worried. This wasn't like their responsible daughter. Her father, Albert Martinko, drove to the mall to look for her, but he couldn't find her. Police were called. At approximately 4 a.m. on December 20th, mall security and police found Michelle's body in the family's Buick Electra, parked in the mall lot. Michelle was found on the passenger side floor of the vehicle. She had been stabbed 29 times, in her face, neck, chest, and hands. The defensive wounds on her hands showed she had fought hard. The attack was brutal and personal, but nothing was stolen. Her purse with the $186 was still in the car. There was no sexual assault. The crime scene told investigators several things. Michelle's car keys had blood on them. There was blood on the gear shift and steering wheel, and critically, not all of it was Michelle's. The killer had cut themselves during the attack, leaving their blood behind. In 1979, DNA testing didn't exist, but investigators carefully preserved the evidence. They also found rubber glove impressions on the car, suggesting the killer may have worn gloves at some point. The autopsy determined Michelle died from the stab wounds sometime between 8 and 10 p.m. The murder weapon, likely a knife with a 4-inch blade, was never found. Cedar Rapids police interviewed hundreds of people. They looked at everyone in Michelle's life: classmates, teachers, family, friends. One person of particular interest was Andy Seidel, a former boyfriend. But he had an alibi and was eventually cleared. The investigation went nowhere. Witnesses reported seeing a young man in the parking lot that night, but descriptions were vague. The case went cold. In 1986, DNA testing became available. Investigators had the blood evidence tested and got a male DNA profile. But when they ran it through CODIS, there was no match. Over the years, they tested DNA from various suspects. None matched. In 2005, Detective Doug Larison reopened the case. Larison had been Michelle's classmate at Kennedy High School. This was personal for him. In 2006, police released a composite sketch of what the killer might look like, based on witness descriptions. It generated tips, but no breakthrough. Michelle's mother, Janet, died in 1998 without answers. Her father, Albert, had died in 1995. Both went to their graves, not knowing who killed their daughter. By 2018, the case was inherited by Detective Matt Denlinger, whose father, Harvey Denlinger, had been one of the original investigators in 1979. Then everything changed. April 2018. In California, the Golden State Killer was arrested using genetic genealogy, uploading DNA to public genealogy databases to find relatives, then building family trees to identify suspects. Detective Matt Denlinger saw the news and had an idea. In May 2018, working with Parabon Nanolabs, Denlinger uploaded the killer's DNA profile to GED Match, a public genealogy website. They got hits. Distant cousins who shared DNA with the killer. Parabon's genealogists began the painstaking work of building family trees. After weeks of research through birth records, marriage certificates, and census data, they identified a woman named Brandy Jennings as a distant relative of the killer. Working through the family trees, they narrowed down to specific family lines in Iowa. One name emerged: Jerry Lynn Burns. Burns was born in 1953, making him 25 years old in 1979, the right age. He lived in Manchester, Iowa, about 50 miles from Cedar Rapids. He had attended West Delaware High School and later the University of Iowa and Luther College, though he never graduated. He worked in his family's construction business. Most importantly, he had no criminal record, no history of violence. He was married with children, a seemingly normal member of his community. But the genetic genealogy pointed directly at him. Detective Denlinger needed direct proof. On December 19, 2018, exactly 39 years after Michelle's murder, detectives followed Burns to Pizza Ranch restaurant in Manchester. Burns ate dinner and drank a soda through a straw. After he left, investigators collected the straw. The DNA on the straw was tested. It was a perfect match to the blood found at the crime scene in 1979.
Hey, how are you today? Jerry, my name's Matt. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, I'm with the Cedar Rapids Police Department.
Oh, yeah.
This is JD.
Hi.
He's with me. Hey, can we chat with you for a second about a case we're working on?
Sure.
You good? We're following up on an old case. I don't know if you've heard it in the news at all. It's a homicide that happened at Westdale Mall. Michelle Martinko, is that something you've ever heard of?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you see it in the paper or anything like that?
No. Long time ago.
Long time ago? I get a business card, by the way. I should probably give you one here. What do you remember hearing about it?
Just it was a big deal.
A big deal? I mean, do you remember what happened?
Not exactly.
Like, do you remember who the victim was, anything like that?
Not really.
We had an article run in the paper the other day, and so we just got a bunch of new leads and stuff like that. People calling in, giving us tips and whatnot, stuff like that. Well, long story short, your name came up.
Strange.
Yeah. Kind of know going in that this is probably going to be a match.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why would that be?
The reality is we're not here on a whim. We're here to confirm what we already know. I already collected some DNA from you that you got rid of before. And so I'm telling you, Jerry, I already know that your DNA is going to match the DNA that we have on file.
Just one heck what I got rid of.
How would we get your DNA at the crime scene there, Jerry?
I don't know. Test it, see if it is.
No, we did. How would it be there, Jerry?
I don't know.
What happened that night?
Wait for the test to come back.
Jerry,
I don't think it did.
It did.
I don't think so.
Okay. Did you murder someone that night, Jerry?
Test the DNA.
Jerry.
Test the DNA.
Why did this happen, Jerry?
Test the DNA.
What happened?
I don't know.
You
I was not there that night.
We know you were there, but the why part is what we're not positive on.
No, we better prove I was there first.
Well, I don't think that's a problem.
Okay.
Okay. Or have any mental episodes in your life or anything like that where you can't remember?
I don't know. I might have can't think of the word where it hit your head. Concussion.
It's possible this happened, not remembering it. That's how I came to this conclusion.
I don't know. I'm sure something like that would be. I just wonder if it's possible to want to know.
Yeah.
block things out, I got you.
December 19th, 2018, 4 p.m. Police arrested Jerry Lynn Burns at his business in Manchester. At the police station, Detective Denlinger confronted Burns with the evidence. They had his DNA. It matched blood at a 1979 murder scene. Did he know Michelle Martinko? Burns denied knowing Michelle. He said he didn't remember being at Westdale Mall that night. He couldn't explain his blood at the crime scene. Then Burns said something strange. He wondered aloud if he could have blocked out the memory of what happened. He also mentioned Jody Huizentrout, a Mason City news anchor who went missing in 1995, a case that remains unsolved. Burns asked for a lawyer and the interrogation ended. Later, while in jail awaiting trial, Burns did something unusual. He autographed a newspaper article about Michelle's case and showed it to another inmate. This would later be used against him at trial.
Did you ever ask the defendant directly if he committed the crime with which he's charged?
Yes, I did. I asked him directly. I asked him, Jerry, did you do the crime? And he said, I can't talk about this.
Do you recall a time, and this would be approximately within the last month or since the beginning of the year or so, when you were playing pinochle with Mr. Burns and you kept beating him?
Yeah, I remember that well because he had told me if I keep beating him in pinochle, he was going to have to take me to the mall.
Has Mr. Burns discussed with you his feelings regarding the potential outcome of his trial, or something he told to you about no matter what happens, what his feelings would be?
Yeah, he feels like no matter what happens in this case that he wins because he had the opportunity to be out there with his family all these years.
When was it, while you were living with Mr. Burns in the Lynn County Jail, did you decide that you were going to tell your lawyer about what Mr. Burns had been talking about?
I decided to approach my attorney after Mr. Burns made the comment about he was going to have to take me to the mall if I kept winning pinochle. That's when that was it for me.
Why was that the final straw?
It disgusted me.
Jerry Lynn Burns was charged with first-degree murder. The trial began in February 2020 in Scott County, Iowa. The prosecution's case centered on DNA evidence. They explained how genetic genealogy led them to Burns and how his DNA definitively matched the blood at the crime scene. The statistics, the odds of the DNA belonging to someone other than Jerry Burns were 1 in 100 billion. Prosecutors presented crime scene photos and testimony from investigators, including some who had worked the case for decades. Burns hired Kathleen Zellner, the high-profile attorney known for representing Stephen Avery, for his defense. His attorneys questioned the genetic genealogy methods and suggested possible contamination over 40 years, but they couldn't overcome the DNA evidence. Burns did not testify. He maintained his innocence. On February 24, 2020, after 4 hours of deliberation, the jury returned a verdict: guilty of first-degree murder. Burns was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Michelle's family members gave victim impact statements describing 39 years of grief and finally getting justice. Burns appealed his conviction, challenging the use of genetic genealogy and other aspects of the investigation. In 2023, the Iowa Supreme Court upheld his conviction in a 4-2 decision. The majority ruled that the genetic genealogy technique was constitutional and properly used. Questions remain. Why did Burns kill Michelle? Did he know her, or was she a random victim? Was this his only crime? Burns has never confessed or explained himself. We may never know the full truth. Investigators have looked into whether Burns might be connected to other unsolved cases, including Jody Huizentrout's disappearance, but no definitive links have been found.
I remember that night. I remember Michelle, her smile. the goodbye smile. I mean, it's affected my entire life.
I don't remember much of that day now. What I remember most are the 39 Christmases with our little family, diminished by one. And that year, 1979, Michelle's presents were unopened. We deeply regret that Michelle's dad and mom aren't here to know what their surviving daughter knows. That is Mr. Burns who took Michelle's life and will forfeit his freedom forever. We're thankful that she fought so hard. Michelle played a critical role in identifying her own killer. The defensive wounds on her hand show it. She fought so hard that she was able to deflect the killer's knife so that he stabbed himself, leaving the blood that caught him. In a very real way, Michelle became her own best witness. Mr. Burns went to Westdale Mall to kill. Armed with a knife and rubber gloves that he was sure would protect his identity, he picked Michelle out of the crowd of Christmas shoppers that night, stalked her, and killed her. Janelle and I are comforted, and we can all be comforted by the fact that if it wasn't Michelle that night, it would have been some other young woman. And that young woman is surely alive today, well into late middle age, because Michelle is not.
The Michelle Martinko case became a landmark in cold case investigations. It proved genetic genealogy could work beyond the Golden State Killer case. Since then, dozens of cold cases have been solved using the same methods. For Detective Matt Denlinger, solving the case his father had worked on decades earlier brought professional and personal closure. For Michelle's family and friends, the conviction provided some measure of justice, though the pain of losing her will never fully heal. Michelle Martinko would have been 58 in 2019. She never got to graduate high school, go to college, have a career or family. But the blood she drew from her killer in her final moments became the evidence that convicted him 39 years later. Jerry Lynn Burns remains incarcerated at Iowa State Penitentiary. He will spend the rest of his life in prison for a murder he committed in 1979. Justice was delayed for nearly 4 decades, but it finally came.